Emily was found. Not alive, I'm afraid. My friend Emily Nelson
yourself, that we may know the comfort
is
of
dead.
the everlasting arms. Especially support and comfort those who have been closest to our departed sister. Sustain them in the blessed assurance that death is conquered, the new life is begun. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord.
The movie begins with Stephanie Smothers making a video for her mom vlog, Hi Moms. Before she begins with her recipe, she updates viewers on an ongoing case involving her best friend, Emily Nelson, who has been missing for the last 5 days. Stephanie appears to start crying before composing herself to give new viewers a recap on what has happened. She narrates how she met Emily, and this is how the story goes. Their friendship started when Stephanie went to her son, Miles's school. Stephanie is always volunteering and contributing to Miles's class, to the point where some other parents like Darren, Sona, and Stacy think Stephanie is making them look bad. After school, Miles wants to have a play date with his friend Nikki, who is Emily's son. Stephanie meets Emily when she goes to pick Nikki up, and, at the boys' constant requests, Emily agrees to the play date and invites Stephanie to come over for drinks. Stephanie arrives at Emily's stylish home. She is stunned to see a nude drawing of Emily hanging on the wall. She works for a fashion company as a public relations manager. As Emily poured the drinks, she talked about her husband Sean, who wrote a book and gained fame 10 years ago. Since then, he hasn't written anything, and the two of them now have financial problems. Stephanie is a widow. Her husband died in a car accident. Her brother was in the same car, so Stephanie lost the two most precious people to her. Currently, as a single mother, Stephanie doesn't plan on entering new relationships. She lives modestly, but does everything for the sake of her son. Sean arrives home and meets Stephanie while he and Emily make out passionately. Stephanie says she has read Sean's book and enjoyed it. The following day, Emily and Stephanie met at a park. Stephanie took Emily's photo, and Emily got very angry and asked her to delete the picture immediately. Then Emily suggested that they should go back to her place for a drink. When they reached Emily's house, Stephanie had a little gift for Emily. It was a homemade friendship bracelet. Emily was very touched, since no one had ever made anything like that for her. The two have martinis and trade secrets. Emily tells Stephanie of how she and her husband, one-time author Sean Townsend, got into a threesome with Sean's teaching assistant. Stephanie then tells a secret of how, after her father passed away, she found out that her father had a son, Chris, with another woman. In her grief, Stephanie turned to Chris, and the two wound up sleeping together. Hearing this, Emily was shocked. She finds herself liking Stephanie more and more. Emily calls Stephanie and asks her a simple favor to pick up Nikki from school because she has to take care of some work business, while Sean has gone to London to look after his injured mother. Stephanie obliges, but after 2 days, Emily hasn't come for Nikki. Stephanie calls Emily's job and is told that Emily flew to Miami to handle something, which she didn't mention to anyone, even Sean. Stephanie gets in touch with Sean to inform him, and he returns home for Nikki, and they speak to the police regarding Emily's disappearance. The officers were interested in whether there had been any disagreements between the spouses. Stephanie said that Emily and Sean had an exemplary marriage. The police took statements and said they would start an investigation. When the officers left, Sean told Stephanie that his wife was a mystery. She hated being photographed. Since it was late, Stephanie offered Sean to stay overnight at her place. The next morning, Stephanie was surprised when Sean cooked breakfast. It seemed like he was a good father. Stephanie takes it upon herself to find out what happened to Emily. She goes to Emily's job and meets her overbearing boss, designer Dennis Nylon. Afterwards, Stephanie sneaks into Emily's office and finds a black and white picture of Emily with "Gotta have faith" written on it. Stephanie is spotted on her way out of the office and Dennis threatens her, but Stephanie remembers hearing Emily speaking brashly to Dennis, and Stephanie hits back with some sass of her own to get Dennis to back off. Stephanie then uses the picture of Emily to make flyers. She handed out leaflets to passersby and comforted Sean in every way possible. Other parents were convinced that Stephanie simply wanted to snatch Emily's husband. Stephanie stayed at Sean's house to prepare lunch. It was new for Sean since his wife never cooked. The detective arrived, finding it strange that the missing woman's friend was spending time with her husband. The detective also mentioned that Emily wasn't on the passenger list for the Miami flight. However, she rented a car, paying in cash. The officer considered that Emily had a lover, but Sean didn't believe it. As Stephanie was about to leave, Sean took her hand and thanked her for the help. Stephanie called on her followers to help in the search for Emily. One of Stephanie's vlog viewers sends her a message stating that Emily may have been spotted in Michigan driving a white car. Authorities go by a lake where the car was spotted, and sure enough, they fish the car out of the lake as well as Emily's body. Sean is called in to identify the body, and he breaks down. Soon, the funeral took place. Stephanie helped organize the memorial, sincerely condoling Sean. Nikki and Miles get into a fight when Miles says that Emily is in heaven, and Nikki yells at Stephanie, claiming that she's trying to be his new mom. After the reception, Stephanie and Sean console each other, which leads to the two of them having sex. The next morning, Stephanie entered Emily's luxurious wardrobe and tried on one of her dresses. At that moment, the doorbell rang. The zipper on the dress got stuck, so Stephanie couldn't take it off. At the doorstep stood the detective who wanted to talk to Stephanie about Emily. According to the autopsy results, Emily had been abusing alcohol and substances. Stephanie was shocked by what she heard. The detective noticed Stephanie wearing an expensive dress. He also mentioned that the day before Emily's disappearance, the husband took out a $4 million insurance policy on her. Emily didn't know what to say and advised the detective to pay attention to Emily's boss. However, it turned out that Dennis Nylon had already contacted the police and told them about Stephanie's suspicious behavior. Stephanie is determined to continue her own investigation and uncover the truth. Soon she saw Sean hugging some girl in town. Perhaps Sean isn't as good a person as Stephanie thought. Over dinner, she asked him leading questions. Suddenly, Nikki said he saw his mother today. She asked him to say hello to Stephanie. Miles confirmed his words. Later on, the nightstand by the bed, Stephanie found the same bracelet she had given Emily. Stephanie shared her suspicions with Sean, believing that Emily is alive. Sean said it's impossible because they saw her body with their own eyes. When Sean offered Stephanie to move in with him, she asked why he took out insurance on his wife. Sean explained that it was Emily's idea. He also said that his wife was a pathological liar. Shortly after, Sean convinces Stephanie to move in. Stephanie takes out Emily's clothes from the closet to put her own clothes in. She also puts up her house for sale. Stephanie believed that now she would start a new beautiful life with Sean and his son. When she enters the dressing room again, Stephanie is startled to see all of Emily's items placed in their same spots. Stephanie was really freaked out. At home, Nikki claims to have seen Emily, who told him to say hi to Stephanie. Later on, Nikki gives Stephanie an envelope that he says is from Emily. Stephanie opens it and finds a picture of Stephanie with her family and Chris, with "Brother Fucker" written on it. Only Emily knew about this story. Suddenly, the phone rang. Stephanie heard Emily's voice who said she was watching her right now. Stephanie immediately went to Sean and directly asked what game he and Emily were playing. Sean didn't understand what she was talking about. Their conversation was interrupted by Beth, Sean's assistant. Stephanie had seen them hugging before. When Beth left, Sean assured Stephanie that Emily was not alive. Stephanie no longer knows what is true and what is false. We are shown a flashback of when Stephanie's husband started suspecting that Chris was her lover. Davis also believed that Miles was not his child. Stephanie tried to stop her brother and husband from going for a ride and having a man-to-man talk. It was on that day that they had the accident. Stephanie blames herself for it. Stephanie continues to dig into Emily's history. She takes the nude portrait of her and tracks down the artist, Diana Hyland, who was once in a relationship with Emily, but she used the name Claudia. Diana says Emily was a con artist who scammed her out of money after she paid off her student loans and college debts, and then she disappeared completely. Diana then gives Stephanie the one thing she kept from Emily, which is a t-shirt for a Bible camp called Squaw Lake. Stephanie visits the camp and gets old books with pictures from past campers. She finds many pictures of twins Hope and Faith McLandon. After contacting numerous people with the name McLandon, Stephanie manages to find Hope and Faith's mother, Margaret. Stephanie disguises herself as a cleaner and then sits down to ask Margaret about her daughters. She describes the two of them as being trouble, especially Faith. Stephanie shows Margaret the picture she found in Emily's office and confirms that the woman in the photo is Faith. It turns out that when Hope and Faith were 16, they burned down the east wing of their home with their father inside. they killed their father and vanished without a trace. Now that she's onto something, Stephanie makes a video calling out to Emily, forcing her to reveal herself as being alive. Emily meets with Sean at the restaurant they always go to on their anniversary. Emily expresses her disdain that Sean had sex with Stephanie in their home and appears to threaten Sean with a gun, only to pull the trigger and reveal the gun wasn't loaded. Emily meets Stephanie in the cemetery by her own grave. Emily tells Stephanie her side of the story, although a flashback reveals what Emily isn't saying. Emily, who is really Hope, and her twin sister Faith burned the east wing of their house with their father inside because he was abusive. She notes that she is actually a triplet, but their sister Charity died in the womb. After the fire, they ran away from home and planned to meet up elsewhere, but Faith never showed up. 16 years later, Faith contacted Emily to meet up at the camp, where Emily found that Faith has become a heroin addict. Faith tried to blackmail Emily, and Emily drowned her in the lake and used her body to be found so that Sean and Nikki can get the life insurance money since they were broke. However, despite Emily stating that Faith's death was a suicide, Stephanie knows it was murder. Emily then accuses Stephanie of not being fully honest regarding her relationship with Chris, implying that he is Miles's real father. A flashback shows that Stephanie's husband Davis was also suspicious as well, and that he took Chris on the car ride that ended their lives. Additionally, Emily plays a recording of her conversation with Sean in the restaurant, where he says that Stephanie meant nothing to him and that he thought of his wife Emily when they were having intimate moments. Stephanie then brings in an insurance lawyer who tells Sean that since it was discovered that Emily had a twin, the insurance company is hesitant to pay the full amount, especially since it is a large amount of money. Emily steals a wrench and tosses it into the air so that it hits her in the eye. She walks into a police station to make it look like Sean beat her and forced her to fake her death as part of a scheme to frame Sean for insurance fraud. Sean is investigated and later taken into custody, but released on bail. Stephanie then plans with Sean to get Emily to confess to the murders of her father and sister. Stephanie comes in with a gun and pretends to shoot Sean, but Emily already knew of everything and cut the mics that the police planted. She takes out her own gun and shoots Sean in the shoulder for real while also confessing to the murders. Stephanie then reveals that she has a hidden camera on her blouse and that her viewers have all seen Emily's confession. Emily attempts to escape as Stephanie goes after her. Emily draws her gun on Stephanie, but she gets slammed by a car driven by Darren. Moments later, the police arrive to arrest Emily. 6 months later, Stephanie's vlog has hit 1 million viewers. Stephanie's vlog continues to bring in viewers, while she has also started a part-time detective agency and has helped the police solve at least 30 cases. Sean has written another successful book and has gotten a job working at another university, and he still lives with Nikki. Emily was sentenced to 20 years in prison, but she has adjusted to prison life nicely as she is seen playing basketball with her fellow inmates.